The first thing I remember was the cold. The second was the light, violet and searing, slicing through the dark void around me. When I opened my eyes, the earth was gone. There was no sky, no clouds, no sense of gravity. I floated inside a transparent cell, my body weightless, suspended in some kind of viscous fluid that tingled against my skin. A soft hum vibrated through the chamber walls, like a song sung by a machine. My name is Dr. Elias Reeve, xenobiologist with the Global Astrobiology Institute. Before this moment, I'd been in my lab studying meteorite fragments from a crash site in Nevada. One fragment, smooth and silver, like liquid mercury hardened mid-pour, emitted low-frequency vibrations that resonated with my equipment. Touched it. The next thing I knew, I woke up here. The chamber walls suddenly dissolved, and I dropped onto a metallic floor, coughing up the fluid that had kept me suspended. My lungs burned as I took in air, or something close to it. It was thin, sharp, filled with ozone and the scent of rain on copper. Then she appeared. She stepped from the shadows of the vast chamber, tall and lean, her skin shimmering faintly like polished obsidian under the violet light. Her hair was silvery white, cascading down her back, moving almost independently, as if the strands themselves were alive. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, without pupils, without warmth. She wasn't human. But she was beautiful, in the way a thunderstorm is beautiful, in the way an eclipse is both terrifying and divine. "Specimen awake," she said in a voice that echoed not just in my ears but in my head. Cognitive stability, intact. Primitive neural structure, but adaptable. I stumbled backward, hands raised. Where am I? Who are you? She tilted her head, examining me like a scientist observes an insect. You are aboard the vessel Thara. You were taken for observation after initiating contact with our quantum beacon. I didn't initiate contact. I just... You touched it, she interrupted, voice colder than the room around me. To touch a beacon is to answer its call. You are bound by your curiosity. My instincts screamed at me to run, but there was nowhere to go. The walls stretched infinitely in all directions, glowing faintly with alien glyphs that seemed to move when I wasn't looking directly at them. She extended her hand, and instantly a magnetic force slammed me against an invisible wall. My chest compressed, I could barely breathe. You are aggressive, she said, watching my panic with detached curiosity. You carry a weapon. No, gasped. I'm a scientist. Her gaze flickered, analyzing every inch of me. You are fragile. You would not survive one rotation on my world. Her contempt stung more than the pressure constricting my chest. Yeah, well, I croaked. You're not exactly friendly for a first contact. Something shifted in her eyes, a faint spark of curiosity. She released her hold, and I collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. What did you call this contact? She asked slowly. First contact, I said between breaths. It's what we call meeting a new intelligent species. She repeated the phrase quietly, as if tasting it. Your kind gives names to everything. You believe naming grants understanding. Sometimes it does, I replied. Sometimes it's the first step toward peace. Her expression didn't soften, but the hostility in her stance faded slightly. Peace, she murmured. Your species speaks of peace, yet your history is filled with conquest. I gave a bitter laugh. You've been studying us long, huh? Her silence was answer enough. She gestured, and suddenly a holographic projection appeared. Earth rotating slowly. Red dots flickered across the continents, each one marking war, pollution, destruction. Your species poisons its own home, she said. You were not ready to touch the beacon. Maybe not, I admitted. But curiosity, that's who we are. It's what makes us reach for the stars. Her gaze lingered on me, unreadable. And it is what destroys you. I stood, shaking slightly but defiant. Maybe. But it also brought me here. Maybe that means something. She turned away, clearly dismissing me, but I caught a flicker of emotion. Doubt, perhaps, or intrigue. She approached a console covered in pulsating runes. You will be returned when analysis is complete. Until then, you remain confined. Wait, I said, stepping forward. At least tell me your name. She paused, turning her head slightly. Names are for those who require identity. I am Function. I smiled faintly despite my fear. Then I'll give you a name. Her brows furrowed. You presume too much. Maybe, I said. But I can't keep calling you you. How about Liara? It sounds like the light in your eyes. For the first time she seemed startled. Genuinely startled. Her body stiffened, and the blue glow in her eyes dimmed, then brightened again. You assign beauty to an adversary? Adversary, I said softly. No, you're not my enemy. You're just different. And beautiful doesn't have to mean weakness. Something cracked in her composure. She stepped closer, her face inches from mine. Your words are illogical, she whispered. No being has spoken to me thus. I met her gaze steadily. Then maybe it's time someone did. For several long seconds, silence hung between us. The hum of the ship seemed to fade, replaced by a strange stillness, the kind that exists just before revelation. Then, slowly, the faintest trace of a smile touched her lips. It was small, uncertain, as if she didn't quite understand the gesture. You speak as if emotion is strength, she said. Isn't it? I replied. It's what makes us human, what connects us. She looked down at her own hands, flexing her long, elegant fingers. On my world, emotion is a defect. Those who feel are restructured. Sounds lonely, I murmured. Her eyes met mine again, and in them I saw something new. Vulnerability. Without warning, the ship lurched violently. A siren blared, echoing through the walls. Liara turned toward the console, speaking rapidly in her native tongue, a melodic, pulsating sound that vibrated in my bones. What's happening? Shouted. Another vessel, she replied. A scavenger swarm. They harvest organic specimens. They have detected you. Before I could respond, she grabbed my arm, her touch searingly cold. We must leave this sector. I stumbled as she pulled me toward a glowing portal at the chamber's edge. Wait, why help me? I thought I was just a specimen. She hesitated, her grip tightening. Because you called me beautiful. The words hit harder than the ship's shaking. She dragged me through the portal, and in an instant, space folded around us like liquid glass. We emerged in a smaller chamber, surrounded by starlight. Through the viewport, I saw the swarm, black, insect-like ships closing in, pulsing with red light. Liara raised her hands, and arcs of white energy burst from her palms, forming a shimmering barrier around the vessel. The swarm struck it like rain against glass. She gritted her teeth, the first sign of strain I'd seen. This shield cannot hold. You must return home. I can't just leave you, shouted. Her eyes softened. You must. I have already broken protocol to protect you. But why? Her answer was almost a whisper. Because you saw me, not as a weapon, not as a captor, but as a woman. The light around me began to distort again, the same way it had when I first touched the beacon. My heart pounded. Liara, she smiled again faintly. Remember your curiosity, Elias Reeve. It is dangerous, but it may yet save your kind. The world blinked, and I was back in my lab. The meteorite fragment lay cracked open on the table, its glow fading. My instruments went dead. Outside the window, dawn was breaking. For days, I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination. But then one night the sky shimmered faintly, just for a moment, and a voice echoed faintly in my mind. Beautiful. The world blinked, and I was back in my lab. The meteorite fragment lay cracked open on the table, its silver glow fading into nothing. My instruments were silent. Outside the window, dawn spilled over the desert like liquid gold. For a long time I just stood there, breathing, wondering if any of it had been real. The beacon, a ship, or... But then, as the sunlight touched the broken fragment, a faint shimmer of violet flickered across its surface, and in that shimmer I heard her voice, soft as thought, warm as memory. Beautiful curiosity. A small smile found its way to my lips. Maybe it had all been a dream. Or maybe somewhere, across the stars, an alien woman with silver hair still remembered the human who called her beautiful. And somehow, that thought made the universe feel a little less lonely.